So I got to blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait. Is it just, it's this button in the middle, right? This start. That's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We got this. Okay. Camera, not the screen. Camera. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Okay. What's up, guys? Today I am going to be hosting, and with me we have Dan.
Hello.
And Gabe.
Yo.
And Denise.
Hello.
We are going to have a fun show. We are going to discuss a topic about whether or not showing more skin gets more followers. You know, real car girls versus car models. Is there a difference? So that's going to be a fun one because Denise over here has got some modeling experience.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we're also going to dive into the whole Trump Newsom madness between trying to get the government to decide whether or not they want to let California rule with EPA measures. So that's going to be a fun little discussion today. And then, you know, Denise and I stopped in Beaver. That was pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Lots of beaver.
Yeah.
Lots of beaver.
Apparently.
So stay tuned for the fun shenanigans of our road trip, including how we survived with no AC.
I want to
in
hear about
100
beaver.
degree.
Tell me all about beaver. That's funny when Dan says it. I want to hear about
The
it.
heat in Beaver, though.
Yeah.
It was pretty wet on the way back.
Very
though.
moist.
Wow.
Very moist and humid, especially with no AC.
Humid? What's a humid beaver?
Yeah.
Is that like a
Sounds
Florida
gross.
thing?
You know, gotta love Utah. So Denise, hi.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us today.
Sure. Glad to be back.
That's awesome having you on the show because obviously you're one of my best friends. We get into a lot of trouble and have fun, but you are also a diehard car girl.
I am.
Absolutely. And you also do a lot of car modeling.
I do.
So you kind of offer a little bit of everything when it comes to cars.
Yeah, I've been a photographer since middle school. I've started modeling back when I was a senior in high school, and I've done hundreds of shoots with cars, fashion photography, etc. And so I've loved cars since I was young, though, right? It's like since I was a kid, I loved playing with Hot Wheels and everything. So everything just kind of came together, especially knowing the photography and also getting involved with modeling. It's all kind of one universe.
Right.
So definitely two aspects of my life, two passions that intertwine very well together. But of course, that can lead into some touchy territory, of course, when you look into the variety of car modeling that you see on social media.
Right. So when you do car modeling, have you ever been faced with the people who hire you and think that you're just a car model and that you don't really have a car background?
Oh, yeah.
You really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because at the face, they may see somebody who's like a cute redhead who's short, but, you know, does she know how to build an engine? Probably not, even though it's the complete opposite, right? It's the expectation of, you know, girls who are very attractive who pose in front of cars don't know anything about cars, when that very much could not be the case. Not every girl is like that. There's people who have loved cars similar to me for most of their life, and they feel energized. They feel passionate about cars in general, and being around cars that they love and enjoy can just kind of inspire different poses and, you know, just being able to express themselves, I should say, in front of different cars. But I think the defining line really comes down to the audience that you want to, or like how you put yourself off as when you're posing. When I do my photo shoots, I really try to be careful with the outfits that I choose. I think about the background, the scenery. Everything is like an entire art piece, right?
Well, that's probably because you've done a lot of photography, though. Like,
yes.
Most car models might not think that way, but...
Yeah. And so I feel if you are the type to want to show skin, that's the audience that you're going to attract, is men who are only attracted to women who show skin. I don't try to err down that path at all. Sometimes I have done like bikini shoots, but I've never felt inclined that I had to do something like that in order to get more followers. I recently had an interview with Hello Road at Radwood last year. And that video on Instagram is at 47,000 views right now. So it's one of my top viewed videos. And that has nothing to do with modeling.
Yeah. You weren't wearing a bikini in that.
No, no, definitely not. So I think it really depends on the audience that you're going for and who you're talking to. But if somebody spends 5 minutes to talk with me about my car, it's pretty obvious at that point that I'm not just showing face.
But would you say, though, I mean, the pink elephant in the room, right, is there's, I would say, many women who pose in front of cars that don't know jack shit about cars. They don't even know how to sit or be near a car sometimes. We've seen these videos go viral where like some chick dents a guy's car or she steps on the hood or whatever. You know, like, I mean, look, it's fine, but would you, I mean, that's pretty much the majority. If you hear the word car model as a guy, I'm like, okay, some chick showing some skin in front of a car that doesn't know anything about the car, right? I'm sure most guys don't care if she knows anything about the car, but it's portraying this type of stereotype, right? Which I guess it's not a stereotype because it's true. There are women that are out there, and I know you guys have to battle with that.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, too, is that, let's face it, a lot of guys and girls, they want to see skin in front of a car.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have both sides of this dichotomy, right?
Of course.
How do you draw that line? Or do you even draw that? Or do you even care? You know, as a car guy, I purposely don't follow women who just pose in front of their car just for the sake of posing, because that doesn't do anything for me. I don't want to watch. I want to see cars. I don't think
you're the majority, though. To be honest.
Well, look, I'm not a person, and I am straight.
Yeah.
Seeing a woman on a car is not a bad thing, but at the same time, you know, like you have to draw the line somewhere, right?
Yes.
I think it has to do a lot with etiquette, right? And that's something that I feel comes from going to car events and seeing how people interact with cars. It's not just, a car model thing either. When I went to Airwater last year, I can't tell you the amount of people that I saw just walking up to Porsches and seeing, is this vinyl or is this a paint job? And just touching the freaking cars. So it's beyond just car models. And even when it comes to the education about cars, we have to be careful because more and more often I'm finding that a lot of guys don't know what the hell they're talking about either.
Oh, that's true. Well,
so
sure.
if I feel like there's more of a spotlight on women though because of that stereotype, and I think that if especially if women can understand the etiquette of asking, is it okay for me to touch this? Is it okay if I put my knee here? Which is something that I always try to do if I'm working with other people who want me to pose with their car. Are you okay if I sit down here? I always make sure like I have no metal fasteners on anything that I'm wearing if I'm going to sit on someone's car. Nothing abrasive on like for clothing. I want to make sure it's very kosher. I'll even, kind of like spot wax a little spot or something just to make sure that everything is okay.
But I don't know. Like, it's funny. I'll go to a car show and I'll see somebody posing on cars, especially at a lot of these these big JDM shows, like down in the convention center.
Yeah, the import nights and stuff.
I see these chicks with their ass cheeks spread on somebody's hood, and I'm just thinking to myself, did they ask the owner if that's okay, or is I always wonder how that goes about, because I wouldn't want somebody's ass cheeks on my car. I don't know why. I'm just not.
Some guys want ass cheeks on the car. I guess. I mean, whatever. That's fine.
I think we're overthinking.
I mean, a lot of people want to see ass cheeks. Whatever.
Yeah. No, we're not overthinking. We're talking about what people always see and think, but never talk about.
I am not opposed to any of this stuff. What so I think here's some context to all this.
Yeah.
We had a guy come up to us, and this is actually, I think someone's come up to us, each one of us at different shows or different venues, where people come up to us and they say, I really like the content you guys do about the women. That's really cool, because my wife, she was an engineer growing up, and she was the only woman in a room, and then next thing you know, she's starting to see more women that are being encouraged or being in the room with her as an engineer. I go, that's awesome.
Right.
I said the only, we draw that line between being like women's lib and whatever, and versus women, bringing women to light as equals, right? Because we could all agree in racing, motorsports, and just cars in general, that's an even platform where physical abilities don't really, affect it nearly as much as other sports or hobbies or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is great. But, where do you draw the line? Because we know of people, mostly women out there, who use their bodies, their anatomy to promote what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not into it. Some people are.
Yeah.
Obviously, their following proves that people are into it, but not for me. You know,
Right.
that doesn't do it for me. But, you know, what you guys are talking about, I mean, I would say you're probably one of a handful of women that we've met, and most of them I've met on this show, where they actually care about what they're doing. They're actually genuinely into cars and not into the cars because it gets more likes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But
the clout chasing cars especially.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody buys a car and all of a sudden they have like 100,000 followers just because they bought that specific car. It's like you have no idea about the history of the car. That's the first car and I'm just getting into cars right now. And all of a sudden you have a fuck ton of followers. And it's like, well, what about these people that are actually building their cars from the ground up? The grassroots people that have been into it for decades and have these rich stories and everything, they all get pushed by the sidelines because maybe they don't have a car that is socially acceptable by a bunch of people, right?
Yeah. I get, but at the end of the day, though, you draw a line because Christina, I'll let Christina share the story about her tits, but.
Oh, you have stories about that too?
Because let's just say tits. There's that should be the topic of the show.
Yeah, right.
Tits and tires, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
But you know, it's like yes, you have them. Yes, they do get more like. Let's just face it, they get more likes.
Yes,
guys like and apparently some girls like tits, and then you put that with tires, and okay, you've got a combination here that works. That gets likes and all that stuff. But then do you cry? I say cry wolf, but like cry like. Don't objectify me.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's the hard part, right? Because like my page, my personal page, my Lane Drifters page, I have tried for years to find that perfect line of not showing too much skin and being comfortable with myself while working on my car, changing my oil, wearing a t-shirt, not a tank top so my tits fall out. Like I made it a point to be a certain way. But the problem with that is that everybody is different in their preference, okay? And I can 100% say that when I post stuff on my stories or when I post stuff in Reels, I feel like the more skin I show, the more reactions I get. Therefore, I get more followers. It goes further with the algorithm. That's just how it is. And I understand that. I don't talk shit necessarily about it. I think it's kind of funny. There's certain things like I was telling you the story and I'll tell you the story. So I posted on my story the other day asking if people could help me figure out my tire situation for my rally car because I've never bought dirt tires or specific snow tires. And I've been hearing all these things, but not, and I've done some research, but I wanted to get people's personal preferences, friends. And I think I got 2 people who responded with anything about tires. And I think I had about 6 people respond about how great it was to watch my tits bounce while I was walking in my car.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, so there you go. Like I got more feedback about my bounce. And you know, and the funny thing is like, you know, to me, I'm 47. I'm not young. So if they bounce and they look good, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me, but it is a thing and it does happen.
So
and
I think there's a gray area with that though, because especially Instagram's algorithm as of recently, they've been blocking and shadow banning accounts that do a lot like too much skin.
Yeah.
You know, doing a lot of flagging. So it's a very touchy game.
Touchy. That's an interesting term.
Very
touchy.
bouncy game.
Very sensitive.
But this is something guys don't necessarily have to worry about. This is something women have to worry about.
Guys definitely do not. This is very gender specific, right?
Yes.
But I think you're kind of hitting a middle ground here that might work. Is like you can objectify me. I know that sounds terrible to say, but like you can because I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Here. I'm obviously showing you something on purpose. I can see what's on that screen.
Yes. Yeah.
If that gets me the following that I get, but I'm not saying like you get the deluge of like dick pics or guys commenting about it, but it kind of goes with the territory.
Yes.
Right.
It does. It does.
It's interesting. I I'm going to say this very carefully. I haven't gotten a dick pic in my Instagram in like a long time.
You just
you should
I know.
just said that.
I'm gonna get it now.
change your Instagram
I know.
handle.
I'm just gotta like blacklist any. Luckily, I can do. If it's in the requests, I'll just delete all of them. So
No new followers ever.
yeah, we're just gonna get rid of all of them. You know, anything that's like questionable, we're just gonna go ahead and flush that out. You know,
I'm surprised nobody's came out with a dick pic filter for the ladies. It's like,
Oh my God.
Oh, that'd be
you've got all this
hilarious.
AI stuff.
Wait, what are
It's
you gonna
like-
filter? You mean you just want to get rid of it? You don't want to filter?
No,
it to make it
that's
look
what I
better, do you?
mean. Like
Oh.
if anyone's sending them stuff, email, text, online, there should be an AI algorithm. It's like, that is a penis.
How do you train that AI?
I'm telling you,
well,
it's got to be possible. It's got to
that
be
would be
possible.
really crazy for Google Lens, because Google Lens, you can at least search what's in a picture,
Yeah.
and it'll tell you what's in, like
Yeah.
and it'll
Oh.
give you search results and everything.
Will it say
So
a dick?
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll outright say it. It'll show related images.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which I don't know if that's
because
kosher.
I think AI may be the friend of ladies soon. It may be just, I've got my dick pic filter on. I don't get them anymore.
I've never
It's great.
heard of a woman. Granted, I don't know many women, but I've never heard of a woman saying, "This guy sent me a dick pic and we hooked up."
Nope.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Nope.
No. Usually, if you get a dick pic and it's unsolicited, it's cringe. You block. You report.
Yeah.
Because I do know plenty of guys who've gotten tit pics and they do hook up.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Men are a different breed.
It's
I
a
mean,
different signal going that way. It's a different signal.
Yes.
If a girl sends you a
Yes.
picture of that, it's
Yeah.
like, all right.
So
Right, yeah.
going, and I apologize to segue back to what you were discussing earlier, but I also think that showing some skin does some favor, because the more interactions you have on your stories,
Yeah.
the more outreach you have for other people to see it. And then you
Absolutely,
can
yes.
have potentially more people help you out with
we
your
can
issues.
definitely
Yeah,
all agree
yeah.
that the skin, whatever, more. I don't know. I don't want to say erotic. It's not erotic. It's just the
Yeah.
more skin you have, it definitely
Yeah.
grows. It helps.
Yeah.
It helps get exposure.
Yes.
No more.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, it does,
But
especially because when you think about SEMA, okay, like SEMA shows
Mm-hmm.
or LA Auto shows, a lot of car girls like that are deep in our car community, who are real car girls, are sponsored by these companies like Exity or oil companies, and they hire them to come to SEMA. They give them outfits to wear.
Yep.
And although they're great car girls and everybody knows them as car girls, they're still flaunted as, sexy, and they have these like tight little outfits on. So it's one of those things where it's like,
It's never going to be eradicated.
it's not.
no, and I don't think it's a matter of being eradicated. I think it's been calling out for what it is.
Yeah.
Because here's the crux of the problem. And I know many guys that feel this way. Is like, they're not opposed to women being in this. They're not opposed to it at all, and on all aspects. But the problem, I don't say problem, but the issue is that they get on these channels or they get on these Instagram accounts or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, I'm awesome. I'm a woman." I was like, obviously, yes, I could see that you're a woman. You don't need to keep telling me you're a woman, and you're in motorsports or you're in the car scene or whatever. I can see that too. But you saying that to me, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's off-putting, but I feel like it's a kind of like promotion that's
Like, it feels forceful.
but also too, you're like, it's gratuitous, and I feel like it's I think it has more negative consequences for being accepted as a female in a male dominated industry. Okay, so that's the issue that I want to bring
Yeah.
up, right? It's like, I don't care about all that stuff. You can show whatever you want so long as you don't get banned, right?
Yeah.
But don't sit here and say, "Hey, I want to be treated just like one of the guys." It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dan. If I see your tits, I'm gonna say, well, that's cool, whatever. If I see if Christina, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be looking
HR!
at that.
HR!
Yeah. So I mean, it's just different, right?
Right. Yes.
So, I know
yeah.
I'm going on a rant here, but this keeps coming up a lot. Like people were like, "Oh, we want to see women," and we all do.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but I don't want to say, "Oh, we're covering women's topics or subjects just because we want to be known as like the women podcast."
Yeah.
or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of guys out there and they're afraid to talk about this stuff. That's why I think this needs to be talked about, because most
Yeah.
guys, they don't want to be, "Oh, you're sexist," or "You're a hater," or
Right,
whatever. It's like,
yeah,
no,
right.
It's like,
I kind of wanted to get the ladies' opinions on, because Gabe, you and I, we've been to several D1 events and so on. I don't know if you guys have been to a D1 event and so on. but I wanted to get your take on umbrella girls because that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
that's
you like the umbrella girl?
that's Japanese culture.
Well,
right?
you know what's
It
funny
really
is I have an Umbrella Girl sticker on my 240 through
Really?
Jimmy Up is a big drift company.
Is that one with the booty?
Yeah, with the
Yes.
Umbrella Girls.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, one of their most popular logos that they put on a lot of their merch is the Umbrella Girl. And I have friends who've been Umbrella Girls.
Yeah.
I have car girls who've been Umbrella Girls.
Same,
They
yeah.
make good money. Like they can make good money. Some of them don't, but
But what's your take on that
Having
versus cheesecake, like girls posing with cars versus it seems like the umbrella girls, it's almost like they have a function. I mean,
They
you know,
do. That's the thing. That's
we
the
were at
difference.
Irwindale and you see Reese Millen and it's like he's got two umbrella girls because it's 110 degrees out.
Right. Yeah,
It's like
right.
they're literally, I'm not saying they couldn't do it without umbrella girls, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting distinction between look at me,
Yeah.
at me, and these cute girls who are like
Right.
holding umbrellas and maybe they've got boots and
well, what's
a
funny
short
is I think
skirt.
the last Formula Drift I went to, it was a thing where they didn't have the Umbrella Girls, and it was everybody
did
talked
they
about
acknowledge
it.
that?
I don't know if it was for like they didn't bring them in as much as they usually have them, like standing next to all the drivers all the time. I don't know what it was. It was just a bunch of buzz that I kind of heard around the event about Umbrella Girls. And I don't know what the deal was with that, whether it was just something that was an issue.
Do you guys think it's sexist because there's only girls and no guys?
Yes,
I would love for there to be guys.
Yes,
We've definitely
we've
discussed
talked about
this.
this.
Yeah.
Umbrella
I've
guys?
said at my events that because Subi Fest, I've done this before at Subi Fest, where a lot of women win car show awards and autocross awards now, and they go up on stage, but they only have car girl models. And I keep telling, I've said it to them every year. I go, when are you going to get guys to come up so we can take pictures with the guys?
So would it be weird if a guy won and there's a guy umbrella boy?
No.
No, you have an option of both.
Yeah,
right?
you have the option.
It's not
well,
like
yeah.
it would be. It's
I
not like
want
it'd be
you.
one or the
I
other.
want
I get
you.
that.
You,
I
you
get that.
come over here and take a picture. I want you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, okay.
I want
but
both of you.
but I've
Let's
got a
move.
question. Okay, but I've
Easy
got
now.
Let's take this one step further though. If there are umbrella guys, what do umbrella girls wear? They wear short skirts, maybe a crop top.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to
What's
get
an
the
umbrella?
5-inch inseam for the guys.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Are
Yeah.
the guys wearing like a suit?
No.
Are they
No.
Or are they wearing, you know,
No.
Daisy Dukes and you
Ew.
know? I mean,
Well, so this is
I'm
this
just
is
curious.
a funny
I'm
one because
really
I think we
curious.
all have our different preferences on what it makes a guy hot, but
well, that's what I mean.
Well, maybe a
Women aren't
driving
the same
suit
as
that's
guys.
like
a driving
suit that's open.
open.
Yes,
sit,
yes, yeah.
Wait, does
So-
that mean the guys have like have to have big bulges, or like they have to have some
Eyes
chunk?
are up here.
Yes.
Eyes are up here,
Hey,
Gabe.
size doesn't necessarily matter.
Junk in the front? in the front?
The front.
A frunk.
Junk in the front?
It's interesting though about the umbrella girls. So was it Race Treads that does the tires?
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. So the way that they search for models is they actually look for people who are involved in the car community, which I give them props for. It's not just putting out some casting or whatever and finding whoever. They're actually finding people who love cars who are involved in the industry to go to these events and be umbrella girls, which I think is going in the right direction
Okay.
of
Yeah.
having
Okay.
more appropriate
Yes.
people
Yeah.
with posing and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because they'll at least respect the cars and the drivers, the art, etc.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I think as a girl, when I see friends or girls that I know that are car girls that are standing out there as umbrella girls, it makes me feel a little bit better. Just because it's like if I was to have somebody next to me holding an umbrella, I would kind of want the idea of them understanding the whole process of the car and like what, instead of just like,
So your umbrella guys, you don't want to be mimbos.
No,
No, Mimbos.
Is that did you make that up? Is that a term?
No, that's from Seinfeld.
That's
like from
awesome.
your-
Hashtag Mimbo.
Mimbo.
Mimbos. You've never heard mimbos?
Never heard mimbos.
Yeah, there's an episode with Dan Cortez on Seinfeld where he's a mimbo. And this is like what, 1998 or something?
Oh,
that's
okay.
funny.
I'm not a big Seinfeld guy, so I don't know. But
Oh, okay.
That's
Mimbo.
hilarious.
I'm gonna steal
Yeah, that's
that
a
one,
new
I
one.
guess.
I know. I've never heard
So
that
so
one.
the question remains:
Yeah.
Do you want your umbrella guy to be a mimbo or to like be a car guy?
I mean, I'd rather him be a car guy.
Of course.
Yeah.
But a car guy's not going to
Yeah.
hold an
Well,
umbrella.
that's what
for
I'm.
another
That's,
person.
that's the
No.
So
dichotomy.
maybe
Yeah.
they don't have a
here.
drift car. Doesn't mean that they're not attending the event.
Yeah.
No, they'll attend the event, but they're not going to be no car
Yeah.
umbrella boy. You know,
You don't know. We are in California after all.
I think it's better.
Never say never.
Hey, okay. There's definitely there's a possibility for anything.
It's
for
better
just saying.
recruiting though to say umbrella guy, not umbrella boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. A
Yeah.
girl.
Oh,
guy.
that's like a Thailand thing.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. You might
Umbrella boy.
You might get something really weird.
You want an umbrella
going
boy
on.
from Thailand?
Right.
No lady boys. Sorry, Gabe.
So lady boys versus mimbos.
Man,
Yeah.
we derailed here.
Pretty
Oh my
interesting.
goodness.
I know, right?
He's
Okay.
gonna be so glad he's not on the show.
Right? Right? Okay.
Like, I'm so glad the AC guy came.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was kind of waiting to see if CJ would sneak in here during our show. But
He heard what's going on. And
He's like, I don't want
He's
any
like, I'm
part
out of
that.
here. I'm not talking about lady boys.
Hey, so do you think it's possible? You mentioned you don't show any skin or whatever. You had mentioned I'm gonna do another reel
Yes.
about my tires
Yeah.
in a turtleneck.
I thought
Do you
about it.
think
Yeah.
a woman with a very curvaceous body or whatever doing it all covered up in sweatpants or a turtleneck would go viral? Do you think
So-
that a page like that would go
Turtleneck is still curve hugging, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
there
But you're
will
not showing skin though.
no, but there will
Yeah.
still. They mentioned bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So bounce will still exist. What you would
In a
have to
turtleneck.
do, you would have to put on a nightie or something, or a baggy sweatshirt or some shit, and then maybe
Trash bag.
She would still get all the hits. I can't say she wouldn't.
Trash bag. Okay, I'm going to do a video in a
So
trash
the bounce,
bag now.
the bounce transcends all clothing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
or
For
trash
sure.
bags.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. When you have curves like
okay.
this woman
Yeah.
right here,
All right,
there's
all right, Christina, I got it. This is how you're gonna do that reel again.
so funny.
In a straight jacket.
In a straight jacket. Well, I wouldn't be able to hold the phone. What am I
Although
gonna do
you
with
might
the
get some
phone?
guys like he's
That's
in a
okay.
straight jacket.
No,
Okay.
we'll tie a belt to you and have a selfie stick coming out or something, so you can just
I don't know. The
waddle.
whole being tied up thing might be a whole nother ballpark for
Yeah.
men. So
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
know.
There's a
Where
lot
are
of
we going
kinks
with
out
this?
there.
Yes,
There's a
there
lot of kinks out there.
All right, so
Okay.
there's. It sounds to me that there's no real solution. Not that there needs to be a solution. We're just addressing what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And I only wanted to bring this up when Christina and I talked about this is because people come up to us and they talk about the women content, which I'm happy to do. I think it's great. But we're not doing it because we want to be like, hey, yay, women. It's just no, we are all equal, right? So if we
Yeah.
treat women like we treat men respectfully, of course,
Yes.
in the same industry as equals, even though there are very distinct differences. Danny
Yes.
got no bounce. Christina got bounce. Okay?
Definitely.
It is what it is.
Yes,
right?
and it's all subjective because everybody's different. Everybody's page is different. Everybody's content is different. It's all subjective. So, but the fact that we can talk about it and laugh and joke, and I think that needs to happen more because I think people need to
Yeah.
be more comfortable talking about stuff like that because they get so irritated.
And
by
I think
it.
the main thing to keep in mind is that you should be posting content for yourself.
right.
As long as you are happy and the content that you're posting helps you be your true authentic self
Yeah.
and comfortable.
If you're not
Well, I
worried
think
about
that's
the
a
followers.
very
If you're-
important point is that
Yeah.
for yourself because most clout chasers, the definition of
Yeah.
clout chasers is
Right.
you're doing it for other people.
Yes,
you're not doing
that's
it for
right.
yourself.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
And you can spot them more and more these days, right? And granted, a lot of people they don't care. They have no shame. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And more power to them.
Thirst trap.
But yeah,
And like I said, you're going to attract the audience for which you post. Right?
Yeah.
If you show more skin and all you do is show skin, those are the types of men that you're going to have on your page.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
to take this even a step further, in the Rotary community and my Rotary boys out there, you know who we're talking about. There are some females in that community. I won't name any names that really don't know what they're doing with the Rotary.
Yeah.
And they're not showing skin necessarily. They might be cute. Well, the definition of a cute. I'm just gonna assume they're all cute, right? Because they're women and
They're good looking.
yeah, for empirically they're
Right.
good looking, right? So and they're not showing skin. They've got a ton of views. I'm literally seeing some of these women talking about the road, and they're doing the exact opposite of what is actually supposed to be happening. But people, the likes or whatever, and I'm not jealous. I'm like, hey, you do
Yeah.
your thing. But I'm like, if I saw a dude doing that too, I'd be like, yeah, okay, well, I don't need to follow you, dude. This is
Well, yeah, and if it
ridiculous.
was a guy doing it, he would be reamed
Yeah.
by every other guy in the Rotary community,
Yeah.
right?
And the guys can't do it because then they're going to be called sexist. We talk about this all, as guys in inner circles, like little secret. We do talk about it.
Yeah.
But we can't say it publicly, even though we want to, because we're going to be labeled as
Chastised.
sexist. Yeah. So, I was just like, when I hear you guys talking about, I don't want to say talking shit, but criticizing what these particular women are doing, it's a breath of fresh air because, okay, cool. It's not just guys.
Yeah.
Women see this too.
Oh, yeah. No, we talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah, well,
a lot.
When we were out on our road trip, we were showing posts to each other like, shit,
what
why
the hell
would you
is
do
she
that?
doing?
So if you see a woman doing that on a channel or whatever or Instagram, would you comment and call them out, or are you just not that kind of person?
Oh, I just usually unfollow.
I'll unfollow.
I don't like
That's the
drama.
best. That's the best way to
I
comment.
don't want to engage.
Yeah, no engaging is the best engaging.
Right.
So I don't. We have
because
a few,
you're bringing attention to it, and then the more that you engage with it, it's just helping that post
and the algorithm's going to push
exactly.
up. Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
because we have a couple girls in our community who all of us don't like, and everybody knows. And I will get screenshots of reels or posts from my friends because they don't want to share the post because it helps the algorithm.
Yeah.
So I'll get screenshots and they'll be like, "Look at this bitch! Look what she's doing today."
So I think this is a top tip for people that are watching right now or listening to the show is that if you want to really get at somebody that you don't like, unfollow them.
Yes.
Don't engage.
Don't
But
engage.
if you can, engage in our page and our Instagram
That's right.
and our YouTube. Comment below. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe.
Yes.
Nicely done.
Thank you, thank you. I'm working on my transitions
That
here.
was really
Yeah.
good. That was
Thank you,
really
thank
good.
you.
Smooth, Gabe.
Thank you very much. I probably stole that from another podcast, but whatever.
Okay, I know we're talking about the whole girl thing, but I really want to talk about California emissions because this is something that's been going on since Trump came in, and as of last week, as far as I know, he has blocked the measures that California was trying to
the
pass.
EV mandate is done.
Right?
That's a federal thing, right?
Okay, but let's discuss this so because a lot of people don't understand the whole thing. So basically, there are two that within our car community, there's two measures that we're mostly focused on.
Correct.
One is the EV, which is the law that they were trying to pass that said that by 2035, no gas powered vehicles could be sold in California,
which is 100% ridiculous.
Right.
I think we all could agree with that.
Yeah,
and what I also
new ones, just new ones.
2020 as of 2035. And also what I found out, which I didn't know, was there are 14 other states who are included in this.
Yeah.
They're trying to follow California.
Yeah, they're the copycat states.
The copycat states, yes.
Exactly.
I didn't realize it was that high. The number was that high. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, California historically has been like the benchmark when it comes to the EVs.
Yeah.
Or the emissions thing.
Emissions,
Right.
You know, because California was like the greenest, which is such a fallacy because
There's so many states are on the same level as California at this point. I think because California has the reputation it does, it gets the limelight, but there's plenty of other states at this point that have emissions and safety and all that stuff. It's not just a California thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, getting rid of the EV mandate, and me being an EV owner, I'm like, I could care less if if you buy one or not. Don't force me to buy one.
Yes,
I bought one because
right.
an opportunity came up for me and it worked out for me financially or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But at the end of the day, don't force. This goes for anything.
Yeah.
Don't force me to do anything. I mean, we're talking. That's some straight up communist crap
Yes,
right there.
absolutely.
You know? But I don't know. People didn't like. And
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
It really is. There's not one solution to fit this problem at all.
Yeah.
The solution, and David Freiberger has mentioned this several times, yes, you should try to save gasoline as much as you can because we can't support a full EV structure. Like nobody can.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody has the
No.
infrastructure for that.
Well, the funny thing is too, and I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of people don't know where fuel comes from. They say it's fossil fuel. It's not dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
It's vegetation.
Right.
That's how you fossilize vegetation, which is constantly happening. There's constant vegetation.
Yeah, right.
This is a cyclical thing. You're not going to run out of oil. Sorry, everybody who's believing that. That's the truth. Go look it up.
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it, right?
And we got ethanol, too.
And we got ethanol, which I'm 100% for. If I ran for president or whatever, I would make ethanol for everybody with some measures because ethanol is not perfect.
Yeah.
But it comes from a crop that we grow a massive amount on, and
Right.
we need to do something with it, right? But the thing about the EVs is that we take off rare earth minerals
Yeah.
from the ground You can't put that back.
No.
Right?
It's not a renewable resource.
It's not renewable.
No.
Everybody thinks it is, and it is not.
It's not.
You know?
No.
Can I tell you a crazy wild idea?
No, we hate those here.
I know they're terrible. I shouldn't say it's crazy and wild, but like I would be so much more comfortable if there was a system, if we were really trying to eliminate gasoline, if there was a system to support changing out fuel systems in your current car to a more modern one. So you're not throwing away the entire vehicle. Just like putting in an E85 system, right? But having something like that put in place, so you're not giving up and throwing away it'll be like millions of pounds of cars with these mandates that they're trying to put through, which now hopefully we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Here's the part that really sucks, especially us being Californians, and a lot of our viewers and subscribers are from California, and I have lots of friends who are in California. On both sides of the political aisle. This is the part that drives me absolutely insane. We get so caught up in the political, spectrum as far as like who to root for. It's like rooting for like the Dodgers versus the Angels. I'm like, this is ridiculous. If your team wins, great. If you lose, better luck next time, whatever. But we should all agree that what our California government is doing to us as we're just talking about car people here. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's us against them, which is unfortunately. We pay our taxes, we pay our registration, we pay these things, and yet we're getting shafted all day long. And I have yet to meet somebody that says, "Oh yeah, all this stuff that California is doing is great." Even non-car people.
Yeah, none of them like it.
You know, the normies, right? Who like have to like go get their car smogged and say, "Hey, do I need to do this? My check engine light's on, but like." They rejected my smog, and I was like, well, that's because you need a new catalytic converter, or you need to do this,
2 cents or whatever.
And then they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
you know,
right,
you're like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know.
But that being said, I do think they're similar ground. Safety inspections, I think, are a great idea. Do you have enough tire tread on your tires? Are you running around with bald tires? Are your brakes okay? Do you have something that's rusting and falling apart? And I know we're in California, but there are definitely some rusty cars that can appear out here. So don't let the landscape fool you.
Yeah. No, I would say I'm not opposed to safety inspections, but we know how the government works.
Of course.
Yeah.
The California government, because now they're trying to introduce, and I think it's going to get rejected. They're trying to introduce the California ARB CARB approved brake pads. We talked about this on the previous show. It's going to jack up the price of brake pads, 4 times, right? So you got to come in every other year to check to see if your brake pads are compliant, right? Which is the most ridiculous thing on the planet. But here we are, because if you don't think this is a money grab thing for California, you are. Get your head in the sand.
Yeah.
This is a total money grab, right? How much we pay in registration fees, in smog checks,
gasoline taxes.
I was going to say gas tax.
Okay, well, so this transcends into the gasoline tax, right?
Yeah.
The California ARB is possibly going to be audited. Thank you, Jesus, if that happens, because this is ridiculous. They're going to jack up our gas tax. This is not the gas companies, everybody. This is the California government adding a tax on top of the gas price that we pay.
65 cents per gallon is what
which
I heard.
is possibly going to happen. And then it's January, or it's July, or July 1st, I think it's going to happen.
I think it was July 1st.
Right?
Yeah.
So in a couple days for us, it's June 20th now. I'm like, dude, so next month we could have up to $7, $8.
It's ridiculous.
It's COVID pricing
ridiculous.
again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And look,
it's not going to stop people from driving. That's the thing. People are still going to do what they need to do.
Yeah. And look, I know this will piss off a lot of people on different sides of the aisle, but like, I don't care what president is doing. If the president is trying to do that makes common sense, and I know it's impossible for Trump to do anything right to certain people, but this makes sense to me. Is like you roll back these mandates to other standards that are more acceptable, that help businesses grow. I mean, most people don't realize that we need diesel trucks to run almost everything. If you're wearing clothes or have a phone in your hand, a diesel truck got it to you.
Right. Yeah.
Those prices, those mandates affect the prices of all those
100%.
things. People don't understand that.
No, they don't understand.
Right?
And the number of drivers, the amount of truck drivers that dropped off because of all the mandates that have come in, especially for independent contractors. Ridiculous.
And the truck drivers too, the companies in California, I forget, there was a number, Dan and I had done a lot of research on this for a client of ours. a lot of these trucking companies, they're mom and pop shops. They're not big corporations.
Yep.
These guys are having to leave the state or shut down completely because of what's happening.
Right.
They couldn't register their trucks because their trucks that they've been running for decades are not compliant.
California. Yep, California.
Well, yeah.
Ridiculous.
My girlfriend, she and her husband moved from California to Arizona because they have a diesel trucking company, and they couldn't do anything here anymore at all. There was so much restrictions, and it was affecting their business. Like a lot of business was going away.
To top it off to the whole overreach, when the EPA was going after shops like I think Boosted Boys, they went after them. They
Diesel Brothers.
Diesel Brothers,
Yep.
Whistling Diesel.
Yeah.
They went after them, fined them, and threatened to arrest them for doing diesel deletes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that my girlfriend's trucking company did a lot of the police vehicles, and eventually they were starting to get harassed, and which is crazy because it kind of just flip flopped, and so it's like, what are we supposed to do now? We got to move.
Military diesel vehicle, I say every, but I would say most diesel vehicle in the military has no abatement on it.
No emissions. No emissions. Yep.
Our own government.
Right.
I'm like,
well,
Yeah.
that's the other thing
Yeah.
that gets me too, is it's the exceptions. I mean, I don't want to go beyond cars and so on, but you do realize that a lot of these bills, Senate bills and Assembly bills that are passed, they're passed because of special interest that gets a carve out. That could be law enforcement, that could be legislators. So it's, it's do as I say, don't do as I do, which is
100%.
bullshit.
Yeah.
I hate that. That drives me nuts.
what I love about what we're talking about right now is we are not experts. We're in this, like the rest of us, if whoever's listening or watching, we're all in this together, right? We're just having this conversation because we need more people to talk about it. If you think we don't know what we're talking about, tell us in the comments, right?
Right. Yeah.
Educate us.
Yeah,
on this.
educate us. Yeah, because you did a Google search, whatever.
Yeah.
There's lots of people that call us out, but I don't care. Please do, because we need to have this conversation, because I'm tired of just accepting whatever the news tells us or whatever
Right.
social media tells us, because a lot of that stuff is propaganda. It's paid for by people to put out there to get us to believe something, right? When there's people like us who are literally in the trenches, I say trenches, but in the streets with our cars, getting smog checks or not getting smog checks, or getting harassed or not getting harassed, driving our cars and dealing with we all have gas powered vehicles, so we're paying for that. Even me, I have gas-powered vehicles and I have an EV, so I'm paying it at the electric pump. If you want to, well, I'm paying it for both ways, right?
Right.
We're all here together, so I really like to have this conversation, because it's important. Just like the tits, hanging out, bouncing tits. We got to talk about bouncing tits and EPAs.
EPAs, yes.
So, I mean,
well, and I think too,
the EPA are a bunch of tits anyway, but whatever.
Because this has become such a huge topic amongst everybody when I go to shows now, like car shows and the racetrack, it's always something that everybody's talking about. And I think for me, like one of the things that I learned when I did do some research is I didn't realize how many states are following California. So like from what I read, it was 17 states following the emissions smog standards, and then 14 states for the EV.
Yeah.
I had no clue, because you hear people talk shit about California all the time. Oh, I'm going to move out of California. I'm going to move out of California.
Could you imagine?
But it's like, did you do your research to see what state you're going to move to?
Yeah, could you imagine moving out of California and going to another state that's doing the same exact thing?
Exactly.
Arizona has a couple smog counties.
They do. Yeah.
So
Phoenix.
you're like, cool,
Phoenix is
I'm going to move to
big.
Phoenix and dodge smog.
No,
you're not.
No, you're not.
Far be it from me to be cynical or to be jaded, but think about the power that a California senator or assembly person has, and think about the money that is involved in this and the influence in 17 states' automotive decisions about what engine we can make, what car we can make, what kind of mileage does it have to get. I mean, I have no doubt that money has exchanged hands
of
through
course.
PACs,
Yeah,
through all
absolutely.
this. And
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
corruption. It's
Yes.
like, that's literally, people don't want to call it. The California state government is corrupt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It is
absolutely.
100%
Let's just
corrupt.
talk about catalytic converters.
Yes.
Why do you think people steal them?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why?
Yes.
Right? And why does it cost $2,000 to get a factory catalytic converter, and you can only get it through approved? I mean,
Yeah.
come on. How stupid do you have to be? Or no, I'm not even stupid. Not to degrade anybody. How ignorant do you need to be to realize that is not a scam. It is
Yeah.
a total scam. He was like, "What?" I don't understand the simping for our government, for anybody, because there's people out there simping for our government, whether it's Trump, Biden, whoever who's in office, simping for the government because they were told by the news or whoever. I'm like, come on, really?
I also wondered too, with all of this stuff going on, is this going to affect us buying car parts and having them shipped into California?
100%.
Like
if it's not already.
Like my exhaust, I had to have it shipped to my friend in Arizona, and I had to pick it up.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't ship it here. So is that all going to be now something that's going to change as well? Because it kind of trickles
I hope so,
down.
because I can't sell I can't even sell a wiring harness on eBay anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
A wiring harness.
A stock wiring harness?
No, it's an aftermarket one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like it's a universal wiring harness, right? That I don't need anymore.
Yeah.
That I just want to toss. So I throw it up on eBay. Nope. Can't
because you're in California.
alters emission. No, not just California.
Oh.
No, it's
alters
50
emissions.
states. Yeah, there was a mandate that was put in place, so they pulled down all the aftermarket or like all the aftermarket parts, exhaust, all that stuff.
So now me and all my buddies and my buddies who are listening to this right now, we all get parts shipped to another state, and our friends will ship it to us.
That's
We're
what I
smuggling
do.
parts. We are
You're
criminals.
the black market.
Yeah.
You're the black market.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. It's a freaking car. It's like I don't. It's just crazy how far it's gone.
It's like, sensitive subject, but it's like out of state plates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know of people who have out of state plates. I'm not going to name their names. That live in this state.
We've had guests.
Yeah. And we know people very close to us.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I would much rather, I want a California plate on my car because
right.
I'm from California.
Right. Yeah.
I like
There's a
the
sense of
California plates.
pride.
Yeah.
But we're
Especially if
forced.
old plates. If it's
Yes.
old plates, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But we're forced.
I would
to
love
not.
to pay. This is gonna sound weird. I would love to pay California my registration to keep my car in California with California plates. I'll be gladly to pay it, but California won't let me because
Yes.
my car doesn't meet their requirements. Or if I want to import a car
Yeah.
from Japan, that I follow the rules. I wait till 25 years,
Yeah.
sometimes 38 years to get this car in, and I still can't register, even though it's a bone stock car that would pass emissions. It's funny thing about emissions. I've had a couple VW diesels because of a project that Dan and I have been working on for a long time, and bone stock cars, right? We put the sniffer on it because you don't put sniffers on OBD2 cars anymore. They just run the OBD scanner, right? So if you pass all the checks and the monitors, you pass emissions. We put a sniffer on the back of these things. These things are gross polluting. Gross
shit.
polluting. It's because VW paid the EPA all their
that's
fees
right.
up front
Yep.
so they can get all their cars back on the roads
Yeah.
again.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
if you don't believe me, go look it up. Please go look it up. But anybody who owns a diesel VW knows, especially now that they did all these software updates, which makes you regen the car more times than not to clear out the DPF. The car smells like absolute trash. Like my eyes are watering at the light, But this car is now compliant.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
It's all a
Yeah.
big game.
It is a
mean,
big
It is,
the EPA
yeah.
nailed Volkswagen for what? How many hundreds of billions of dollars or
Yeah.
something? And Mercedes and Volvo and really all the European diesel
And
manufacturers.
every manufacturer does it. VW was,
Yeah, they all
the
do it.
scapegoat. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Fiat Chrysler was a big,
VW just got caught early.
Exactly.
That's,
Exactly.
that's all. They were all doing it.
Every single manufacturer does it, but they got caught. So it's just, if you think that, because I see people, I hear them talking, I hear them at Cars and Coffee. It's like, well, I was going to get a diesel, but they're so dirty and they're so this and that. I'm like, yes, diesel is a dirty fuel, but you can make it clean. I won't get into that subject. But the thing is that they were told by the news or whatever outlets they're watching, and it's like, man, this is just, it's almost like an infectious disease spreading around. People's brains are rotting because they don't want to actually. And a lot of it's common sense.
They don't want to scratch below the surface either.
No.
It's
And
like,
that
I
is
got 30
why-
seconds for a soundbite, and that's it.
That is
Yeah.
why we need to talk about it on our show.
I agree.
And you need to like subscribe and follow so that you can stay updated on all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, not that we're the news. Trust us, we're not the news. We're just commenting
talking
on
about
what's
it.
happening. You know what? We're just trying to strike up a conversation with our fan base, with people, because
And we don't have somebody paying us money to
No.
talk about it.
No,
So
no.
it's like, we're not the news. We're just normal people trying to talk about it.
Although full disclosure, if someone wanted to give us $1 million, we'll say whatever you want us to say.
We'll be mouthpieces.
Yeah, we'll be whores. Fuck it. Sorry. No.
Too funny.
Okay.
And if you have additional information on any of these topics,
Yes.
drop the sources in
Yeah.
the comments so that way we can
We
peek
can just,
into it.
and then
Educate us.
discuss it on another
Yeah,
show.
I
so.
mean, and that's that. Thank you for saying that, Denise, because I think that's something that we're going to focus more on doing, because we go to Cars and Coffees and we'll go to shows and we'll run. Christina, you're everywhere, at least in the California area, and and pretty soon we'll talk about what you guys did in Utah. But we're out there and people are coming up to us, people that recognize us, or people will just have conversations and they want to have these conversations, but people aren't talking about this stuff. They're just
Right.
listening to whatever podcast or show talks about what they want to talk about, what their guests want to talk about. We want to talk about what our guests, our audience wants to talk
Right.
about. It's the same things that we're talking about at all the Cars and Coffee. We overhear conversations all the time. And since we're not very popular, people don't know who we are. So we eavesdrop on a lot of, I do at least, eavesdrop on a lot of conversation. And it's wild, some of these conversations that people have.
Yeah.
By the way, since CJ's not here at our last Cars and Coffee, but did you overheard somebody talking shit about CJ's Porsche?
Really?
Porsche.
Someone talked shit about his Porsche?
I don't.
Was it you?
No, I don't think so.
How was it? It was a rent-a-car?
Oh.
Was it CJ's car?
Oh, no. It wasn't CJ's car. No, it was. I was overhearing somebody walk around
I
at
wish it was
Cars and
CJ's
Coffee, and they were just saying they were. It was two guys, and they were like, I guess, judging cars with each other. Like, oh, this one, oh, this one. And then one guy said, "Well, you can say what you want about it, but it's a rent-a-car or something like that." I thought it was pretty funny. Just the shit you overhear when you're walking around. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, what car were they talking about?
I don't know what they were talking about. They were
Let's just say it
walking
was CJ's car.
through.
Let's just say it was CJ's Porsche.
I don't know that much about Porsches, but I will say,
Porsche.
after checking out his new wheels, seeing it in the sunlight instead of in the bay back here,
Yeah.
that is an honest car.
No,
This car is so honest.
very honest car. The wheels definitely made a big
It
difference.
just looks
Yeah.
so good
Yeah.
and so like.
I'm so proud
It's
of
like a
him
real car, yeah.
for doing all this stuff on his car and then documenting it so we can all watch and see
I
his
love it.
progress.
Yeah, God forbid we're a YouTube channel where CJ actually picks up the damn camera. So
He's
creating
getting
content.
better. He's getting better.
But I get it. He's on TV all day, every day, doing the news. So I'd give him a little reprieve.
That's
but
true. Yes.
Yeah. No, see, you need to drive CJ's car. You need
I
to
haven't.
drive.
I've never even driven a Porsche.
You haven't?
no.
Okay, you need to drive
No.
his car and then ask some rich dude to drive his newer
His-
Porsche.
yeah. Like a
'Cause it is
GT3 or
it's-
something?
Yeah. Well, even like a regular 911, like
Okay.
a 2000 and up, like a water
Yeah,
cooled.
yeah.
Because they are vastly different.
Yeah, like
So
Melissa's
different.
Yeah.
Melissa's car.
Like
Yeah.
I drove CJ's car and he was funny. He was like, he tried to get me to drive it for like a while. He's like, you really got to drive my car. And I was like, yeah. I don't want to drive it.
So
One
you
time-
drove it, and
I drove it and it's cool. It's
did it make you want a Porsche?
no, definitely not.
Oh, okay.
Well,
It's a different lifestyle. Like, it's just a different mode.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
Different driving
vibe.
experience.
I
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
it.
A little different
But
vibe.
the engine
I get it.
is by far the coolest thing about that car
Yeah.
because the sound, the torque curve, it doesn't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
His Porsche doesn't
Is
have a
it
lot of
torquey?
It's torquey, but I wouldn't call it torquey like a big V8 or anything like that. But
Okay.
the thing about his car is that there's a charm to it that I really like, and I get it why air cooled guys like air cooled. I 100% get it, 100%. Why I will never buy a car like CJ's is the the footwell.
Yes, that's right. I did see
Oh, it's
that.
really
The
small,
inner
right?
fender,
Yeah.
and your feet are like, and I'm a big dude. I'm like
Yeah.
crunched over. I'm like, why are my feet crunched
Oh,
over like that? I'm like,
I guess
so
that's why I
compared
fit
to
so well.
and CJ, it's just one of those things like, hey, you just gotta get used to it. I was like, I ain't gotta get used to shit, man.
So compared to Denise's sweatshirt, tell me, there's a footwell, right? All right.
Yeah,
Well,
fancy footwork,
Fancy footwork.
which you can get at
Maximum velocity.
boom. Yeah, I mean, I don't think CJ is going to be tracking his car, so I don't think it really matters. He doesn't need to do some heel and toe.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody
Yeah.
with some small feet could. I mean, maybe Christina and Denise
Yeah.
could.
I got
But-
fat feet, so it ain't gonna happen. I'll
Yeah.
drive it, but I'm gonna go far.
I automatically
Narrow
heel and
feet.
toe with my big fat foot. I can press on both
Yeah.
pedals.
Who has narrow feet? Denise has
Denise
narrow
has
feet.
little
Those
feet.
are,
Yeah,
Those are narrow feet.
Those are
There you
Porsche
go.
feet.
Porsche feet. Yeah.
Porsche feet.
I don't know how we got. Oh, we got on the topic because of guys talking conversations at Cars and
Yes,
Coffee.
about
We hear them all. I hear it, especially here in Ventura. We have some. I'm sure you guys both
Crazy
also hear
stories.
some.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Denise, I'll see her at Cars and Coffee, and she kind of like is like low key, kind of like walking around and stuff like that. But I'm almost certain you're busting through all these kinds of conversations, weaving through many different types of conversations.
Yeah, I hear some funny shit sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I heard somebody up by my car at Visualize on Saturday, and they called my car a Toyota.
A Toyota.
Because I thought that
Wow.
was kind of interesting because I
a
debadged
Nissan
it. It
Toyota.
has the Sylvia badges that
I'm
I got
guessing it
like
was
back
a
in the
boomer.
90s. I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly.
Only boomers do that.
You got to be pretty ignorant to call your car a Toyota. I mean, even me,
Yeah.
I'm not a car guy. And I know
A lot
your
of
car's
people
not a
don't know
Toyota.
my car because you just don't see them anymore.
I'm in
Yeah.
the same
So-
boat now. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people I've had come up to me and ask what kind of car the Focus is.
But you don't have Ford badges on your car?
No, on the
took
back I do.
Okay.
Oh,
But
yeah.
on the
see, I don't,
front.
I don't
The
have
front's
any.
no
Yeah.
badge.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
there's no Ford emblem on the front
Nope.
grill? Oh, okay.
Nope.
Did it not come with one, or you took it off?
Oh, I got rid of that.
Okay,
one.
so it
Okay.
did
But
come
yeah,
with
it was,
one.
it was a really crappy like front grill that was
Yeah.
all plastic and faded and stuff. So I decided
Yeah.
to go with like a powder coated front grill instead.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, when's the last time they sold a performance Focus in the United States? Right? It's been
it's been a
long
while.
time.
Yeah.
And like your
Yeah.
car, your car's an
Yeah.
antique. I mean,
yeah, right.
it's
yeah.
literally an antique, right?
You know, that reminds me something funny about the whole debadging thing. So when this is back in the day, but because I think I put the Sylvia badges on my car back in like 99. I ordered them from Japan because that was kind of what you did back in the day. And I had the Sylvia on there. I remember one time this lady came up to me and she was like, "Oh, you have the name Sylvia on your car. Is that your girlfriend?"
Oh yeah.
Because it was on this
Not
side of
only
the
did
car.
she think your car,
Yes.
did she think you were a lesbian?
She must have
also
thought I was lesbian.
you named your car
yes.
Sylvia.
She thought it was like my girlfriend because she noticed it was on the right
That's
side.
hilarious.
And so she,
That's
'cause
funny.
You know, have you seen stickers on cars? Sometimes there's like the wife and the husband or whatever, and they put it
That's
on the.
funny.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
and you weren't
So-
even driving a Subaru.
No, I wasn't.
What are you saying, Dan? That lesbians drive Subarus?
Yes.
That is a known fact. It is a fact.
Well, I am going to throw this out there. Okay. So my daughter has a girlfriend. You know, she's had a girlfriend for like 5 years. I love them. They're perfect together. But the funniest part was that when we were looking for a car for my daughter, we wanted to get her something kind of fast and fun that we could drive as well. So we wanted to get her the Forester XT. Well, the Forester is the lesbo car. That's what there's YouTube videos on it. There's long video. And so I remember I found one and I sent it to my daughter and because we were joking with her about the fact that she drives Forester and she's gay. Like that's just how, but
Is she aware of that kind of
Oh yeah,
stereotype?
she is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, she's
just like
awesome.
me though. She doesn't care,
Yeah.
you know, like she doesn't care what anybody
That's
thinks
funny.
about her. But it is funny, but it's true though. This is and Subaru's marketing back in the day, I think it was the 80s, was because of the tennis. I think she was a tennis star.
oh, Martina.
That was
it or something?
sponsored by Subaru, and I think she was lesbian, and
I think it
that's
was
where it
Martina
all.
Navrat-
Yeah,
Where,
Martina,
that's
I
where
think,
it all
back in the
came
day, yeah.
from. So it's true. It's 100% true.
Well, my friend Greg just bought a Forester. I think it's the Forester. No, he bought
Is
an
he a
Outback.
lesbian?
He bought an Outback. But no, I send him every lesbian Subaru meme, and there's thousands of them.
Oh,
It's
there
great.
is.
I love them.
There's a
They're
ton of
hilarious.
them, and I share
They're
them all
so
the time.
funny.
Because people send them to me all the time.
They're so
yeah.
funny. I love them.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So
They're
yes,
We should do a top 10 list of the top 5 lesbian cars, the top 5
Gay
cars.
cars, gay guy cars.
I'm pretty
Miata.
sure people got all kinds of lists. Like
Oh, that'd be a good show. That'd be an entertaining
that would be
show.
pretty funny. Yeah,
That'd be
that's a
an
good
Top
one.
5 takeover cars too.
Oh, I like that.
yeah.
That's good.
do we want to talk about takeover cars though? I think we all know the usual suspects, but
Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
if we bag on them, if we just, say they're assholes that are driving these
yeah, but then
cars,
that's just going to
good.
boost their algorithm, isn't it? If we
Well.
talk
Or is it
about
going to
them.
boost ours because
We're talking about
Yeah.
takeovers.
we're talking about, yeah.
I think you said a takeover car that I was like, really? It was very unexpected. It was
Oh.
like it was something like big. Was it a Z?
Well, the G35.
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 Yeah, G35.
and the
yeah.
350Z are big one because they're
Yes,
cheap.
they're
Yeah.
rear-wheel drive
Yes,
cars.
they're
Yeah.
notorious. And then and the G35 is a flagged vehicle. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know that.
No,
but
what does that mean?
That means the police have on their radar G35s.
Oh, really?
So if
No
you are in the
kidding.
close vicinity of a takeover that's going on and you're
Wow.
driving a G35, they will pull your ass over.
And every Mopar product.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, yeah, that's a given. That's a given, right?
That's crazy.
Barracuda,
Yeah,
Charger,
yeah.
whatever, anything Hemi, right?
Yeah.
Yes, anything Hemi. Well, not even Hemi. It could be Pentastar.
But
crap.
not
And
Dodge
this-
trucks. Like, do trucks do takeovers?
Rarely I've seen trucks do it. You know,
Yeah.
most of the guys that have those kinds of trucks don't do those takeovers. They're
That shows
you
how-
get some dumbasses in F-150s that are
Yeah.
doing some dumb
Well, that
shit
shows how
sometimes.
old I am because I think of the G35 and I go, that's like a really classy Z. That's like I think a G35.
Once upon
that
a
was
time.
a
Yeah.
short-lived.
Once
that's
upon
fine.
a time.
It's one of the biggest drift vehicles.
So now it's
the G35.
really G35?
Yeah.
G35s when
And
they were
350
cool. That was a cool car.
It
man.
was a cool
Because
car,
when
yeah.
we made the drifting documentary, Z's, but people were like, God dang, that's a heavy, fat ass car to be trying to drift with. Like, you can, of course, but
It's because they're cheap. You can drive them stock. You can drift them pretty much stock.
Yeah.
And their parts are cheap to get. They're readily available.
Yeah.
So it just
A
became
lot of interchangeable stuff.
Yes.
350Z. Did
Yeah.
you know in Japan that was called the Skyline?
the G35 ones?
Really? Yeah, it's called like the iSkyline or something like
But
that.
same car.
Same car, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they stopped production of the actual Skyline.
Right.
The GTRs in
Right.
2000. I forgot what year, 2000. And then that's when the G35s were made, and
Oh.
Nissan stopped making
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of the JDM guys, they swapped over the Skyline badges onto the
Yeah.
GTR. I'm
Of
like,
course.
it's a stretch, but all right.
Okay, is that better or worse than a Fair Lady badge though on your Z?
No, the Fair, cause that's what it was called. The
Fair
Z,
Lady's
the Z
cool,
was
right.
always called
Fair
Fair
Lady's
Lady
cool,
in Japan, and that was never stopped. It's just like when you say Skyline, you never think of a G35.
No.
No.
Right,
I was
no.
like, come
No.
on.
Yeah.
I think of a
Reaching
luxury
for
Z.
sure.
It's a luxury Z is
Yeah,
what
that's
Yes.
exactly what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
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 So, a takeover special.
Wow. Who would have known? I did not know that.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm kind of shifting now into our road trip only because
Beaver.
I was really surprised. We did this road trip to go out to Colorado to PPIR, which is Pikes Peak International Raceway, for Women's Motorsports Day. There was a big event, so I had my booth and everything. But I was really surprised at the car culture in Colorado.
Colorado?
I was
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really? That was a thing.
Especially the women. There were a ton of car
So
girls.
shout out to the car girls in Colorado.
Hell yeah.
100%.
Right.
Hell yeah. Power
Was
in
there anybody
numbers.
specific that stood out to you, women wise, out there?
Yep. Yeah.
I got it. I mean, a few, but I will say most of them, the camaraderie and just how welcoming they made us feel,
Yeah, it was
especially
amazing.
for her first time visiting Colorado.
Yeah.
I've driven through Colorado when I was in Pennsylvania in 2016. I drove the Focus all the way back across country and stopped in Colorado. And they actually had a little car event for me on the way out there, so back to San Francisco. So that was super cool. The
Wow.
car culture's always been really good in Colorado, but
Really?
actually seeing it firsthand
Yes.
and going to Pikes Peak International Raceway, I mean, it was amazing.
It was amazing. And it
the
was
driving, oh my God, the talent that these
talent.
women
Okay,
have.
before you guys
Yes.
get deep, I need some education here. I know about Pikes Peak. I know that's
Yeah.
a hill climb time race, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Pikes Peak, it does have they do the race that
Up the
goes up.
mountain.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Gymkhana. Like
yeah,
back
well,
in
I've
the
seen
day, yeah.
Ken Block,
Yes,
on
right.
Pikes Peak
Yes.
and so on. So I know what that is.
Unfortunately,
now, this is
we didn't get a
Pikes-
chance to do that.
This
but-
is Pikes Peak Raceway. So
Yes.
it's a track.
Racetrack.
It's a
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
It's like
not the
it's like
actual
Streets of
mountain.
Willow. It's
Right.
a track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they had
Okay.
they had like the course, like they had
Sprint
the
course.
So they had the Roval, they had the sprint course, they had
Drag
a
racing.
burnout box, they had
Okay.
a drag strip. So it was great and it was all pretty tidy. Like it was all pretty close. You could pretty much walk to everything and watch.
And it's not closing anytime soon.
As far as I know,
No.
it's not.
Well, it's not California,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah, they're
Well,
they're doing really well.
If
and
anything,
it-
they're expanding
They're
probably.
closing some in Texas. They
Yeah.
closed some.
But
in,
it was
you know.
great. It was a great little racetrack. I
Wow.
loved it. The event that we went to was called Summer Vibes, and it was put together by some women, mostly in the drift community, and like Ladies Drift Day and Car Girls of Colorado. And they did drag racing, drifting, sprint racing, and then they had a car show for the women who weren't going to be racing.
Wow,
Were
sounds
there any car
pretty
models
all
here?
encompassing.
Was there any
Were
one?
there any car models here?
No.
I mean,
Because they
you
were
have
all
the
driving.
girls.
All the women
Yeah,
were
And
driving.
I'll tell you right now, something interesting, okay? Because this was an all-female show, no men were allowed to race or show their cars. It was all women. And the funny part about this was there were a lot of guys there, mostly like husbands or boyfriends, but there were a lot of guys there without. And there were a lot of women who were just in t-shirts and shorts and dirty because they're working on their cars or they're driving. There wasn't a lot of women who were showing a lot of skin. It was like, did you notice that? Like it was
and it was not cold.
No,
that was a warm day.
It was about
too.
90, I think, or 85.
85. Yeah.
And it was very grassroots as far as racing and stuff like that. But it was a different feel. The women there did not care. They the
authenticity was.
Yes, authenticity is a good way to describe it.
And these weren't all Subaru Forester drivers, right?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But
the mix of cars was incredible.
I do have to say that the sticker that I sold the most.
My other
Which
ride
one?
is your mom.
Yes, that's the one I sold the most of. So there you go.
Not to judge, but I could assume that there were probably women that of that persuasion. That
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Were there any Mimbos?
There might have. Well, I could say one. I could say one.
Yeah, one. Yeah. Yes.
But we'll keep that between us.
Yes. Okay.
It took me a second, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
we've covered the audience. We've
Okay,
covered what the
yeah.
event is.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've kind of experienced this kind of vibe with
Yes.
all women and stuff
100%.
like that?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
what do you think it might be that's different than, say, in California
It's
or
the water.
Arizona?
There's something in the water.
Something that I'll say is different right
Coors,
now
it's Coors.
is usually when you do a track event like at Willow Springs or something, you're there with several different other groups at the same time. There was nothing like that at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Everybody that was there, women drivers, even like all the vendors, a lot of women-based businesses and things like that. Very women-centric. So I feel like the intimidation factor was really cranked down because of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, and that I think that's something that would really benefit in general if they did something similar out here in California. We're an all women's type of situation.
But we get a lot of shit for that. That's
We
the
do.
only problem is a lot of people don't like the idea of it being only women. Like they were very specific. Men, you are not allowed to drive. You're
Yeah.
not allowed to show your car. But
you can't
here,
drive the car in.
I can't. Yeah, I couldn't. I can't do that here because I would get too much shit. Men don't like that being
Wow.
excluded.
Maybe that's what needs to happen, though.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because if criticism controls your event, then they still have control over your event, right? Versus you, I'm going to do what I need. And maybe that's what's different in Colorado. It's like we're doing it regardless whether you like it or not. And it sounds like the event was successful. By the way, you want to plug
Yeah.
them? I mean, what's their handle or do you know?
So there's not a specific handle for Summer Vibes, the show itself, but the groups were Ladies Drift Day. Courtney, her Instagram's Shockwaves. She's the one I worked with on getting me out there. She got me and Denise ride-alongs in the drift cars.
Yeah, I was going
was
to ask you,
amazing.
how did you guys decide to go do this thing? Because Colorado's not a hop, skip,
She
and a
hit
jump.
Courtney.
I mean,
Well, I had seen some stuff being promoted on Instagram, and then Courtney hit me up, and she's like, "I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the possibility of coming out." She's like, "I wasn't even going to ask you because I know you're all the way in California, but." She did. She hit me up, and I
so
was
you
like,
got
you know
invited.
what?
That's cool.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
this
really
sounds
cool.
like an awesome. I mean, it's right up my alley. I don't ever get to do all women events like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was super excited about it. Plus, I'd never been to Colorado. It was my first time to Colorado. And then Denise wanted to join, and Denise was able to sell some of her merch too. And we were like, let's make it a little vacation. We stopped in Utah for a day. And we did the Narrows. We hiked the Narrows at Zion National Park.
Gorgeous.
So
Yeah,
beautiful.
Zion's awesome.
So
But the
beautiful.
big thing about your trip, though,
Yeah.
you had texted me from the first day when you guys left was
Yeah, so we weren't even to Barstow yet.
We weren't.
We stopped in, I think, Palmdale or something to get gas, and we lost AC in the Acura.
Yeah,
I
we
would've turned
just
around.
felt, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Is that room temperature?"
Yeah,
That's
we were
not
like,
feeling-
what's going on here? It's starting
it's
to
not
warm
feeling
up.
too cold. So we get to Barstow, and we're like, "Shit. Well, what if it's just like a Freon top off?"
Yeah.
Right. So we
Yeah.
go to the parts store. We get a thing of Freon. We're
Spent
like,
$50
well,
bucks.
it's really freaking hot here. Let's see how far we can get. And we had an ice chest with cold drinks and everything. We filled it with ice. That first day, we must have put in at least like 3 or 4 bags of ice.
Oh yeah,
to keep everything cool in there.
That first
because
day
it
was
just kept
hot.
melting.
Yeah,
everything kept melting.
we were literally taking our shirts off
Zizix.
and sticking them in the ice chest and getting them cold and wet.
Wait a minute, you're taking your shirts off.
You're saying wet. You had a wet T-shirt contest
Yes.
going
We
down the
did.
highway. What
Yes.
you're telling me?
We
Let's
did.
objectify the girl
Yeah.
band.
Well, they said wet T-shirts.
Yes.
I'm not
So-
objectifying.
So
Christina know what
we
she
started
says. She knows
this.
what she said.
This started at Zizix because
Yes.
we stopped off. First of all, I've always driven by Zizix.
And said, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Is
What
it
the hell is
I don't think
ZZYXX?
anybody knows how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
So Zizix, I've always wanted to stop, never stopped.
Yeah,
you
me
you see
too.
it when you go through Vegas or when
Right.
you're going to
Yes.
Vegas and everything. So we
Yeah.
decided, let's go ahead and stop off and see what we can do. So we go down there. There's at least a shaded area in the parking. There's like a parking lot thing,
Yeah.
so you could
I've
walk
been in that
to
one,
the.
yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
the only people there
For a little bit.
until that freaking Tesla showed up.
Of course, the Tesla showed up.
Yeah. So they got a show when we
Of
took our
course.
shirts off to
Of
put
course,
in
the
the ice
Tesla showed up. But at that point of being way too hot, we tested. Well, first of all, we tested the pressure of the Freon system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was full.
It was full.
So,
So
we're like,
just
all right.
your compressor stopped
It wasn't
working,
that.
right?
It's the
Well,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we were asked, well, what if it's a relay, right?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
But the
switched
engine
them.
bay was so hot at that point,
Yeah.
and
You're not even
Yeah.
getting there.
yeah,
Well, and
and it was a weird angle.
We
Like
couldn't
had
even
to
get the relays out, and we didn't have needle nose pliers, so we like couldn't. I
the
just
strut
literally,
bars in the way, so
Yeah.
you can't just readily like get the right angle to pull the relay
Yeah.
out. So we tried the Freon thing; it was full. We went, okay, so we're going to deal with hot AC at this point.
So as the
Let's-
end result, you went all the way to Colorado and back
Yes.
with no AC.
Yes,
That's
we
correct.
did.
So
Yeah.
there's ways to go about it, though. Like, not my first rodeo, not dealing with AC. I did that when I went from Pennsylvania back to San Francisco and out to Oklahoma and back in the middle of the year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
peak heat. And there's a few tricks to getting by. One is, of course, the ice chest. So
Mm-hmm.
when we found out the Freon didn't work, just dunking the shirts in the
Yeah,
ice
yeah.
chest straight up. And at least the cool breeze
Yeah.
helps keep you cool,
smart.
you know? And this other thing I learned when I dealt with 110 degrees driving to Phoenix in the Ford Probe, and that car was still overheating, so I was driving with the heater on full blast
Yeah.
just to try to keep that car from overheating.
does work, yeah.
Pouring water on my
Yeah.
head, so at least there's a breeze that's going by.
And Denise had a spray bottle, so we every 10 minutes.
Yeah, we were spritzing
spraying.
water.
Bad cat. Bad
Yep.
cat.
Spraying.
Yep. At least we were driving away from the sun.
You know,
so the sun was
guys
in the
don't
back.
do this. They're like, we're just gonna suffer and like sweat our balls off.
You know what?
Yeah.
I rode in an unair conditioned bus from here to Havasu in the summer with high school
God.
kids.
Oh God.
One of those old school buses.
Yeah.
And it was like a
Yeah.
It
Was it a
has,
short?
like,
Was it a
60
short bus, Dan? Was it
No,
a
it was a long bus.
They
I
had
don't
like
ride the short
60
bus.
horsepower or something, right?
But I have experienced that. Of
Yeah.
just being like just unbelievably hot.
Yeah.
We stayed in
Do
Vegas
women
one
get
night.
swamp ass like dudes?
Of
Oh,
course.
yes.
Okay,
They're humans.
Hey,
Gabe, they're
hey,
humans. Come on.
I don't know. I could never ask my wife this
They're
question.
not delicate flowers.
She
They're
won't go in a
humans.
car without AC, so I'm just asking.
I'll say
Yeah.
what really helped also was the fact that it was a 4-door, so we could lower 3 of the windows and at least have a draft
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And then one of the windows we can at least have up and put some sort of like a shade or shirt
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there to prevent more heat
Did
from
you get the
coming in.
Yeah.
the
it was-
Oh, yeah,
air
of course.
pressure
It
was
lock
Yeah,
thing?
gnarly.
blasting the radio,
Yeah.
like
it
just
was
throwing
gnarly.
CDs
Yeah.
in. And
But here's the crazy part, okay? We leave Utah to go to Colorado, and this was on Friday, and we were in this heat, and then all of a sudden the map has us take a detour because it was going to have us go through like Denver downtown area
on a Friday,
evening. So it had
Yeah,
us
you don't
take
wanna do
this
that.
back road through the mountains. We got snowed on.
We did.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So we
Yeah.
literally went from like the
90s.
desert to getting
Yeah.
snowed
So that
on.
wet T-shirt contest turned into something else.
Yikes.
Dan,
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, we all of a sudden we were having to turn the heat on for the first time. It was really odd.
I can tell you're cold.
Yes, yeah, it was pretty funny.
But it was interesting because it was like the snow slush, and it was like 45 degrees outside.
Wow.
When we were going
Yeah,
through that, and it
yeah.
was you could just barely see it.
Good
It
old
was,
in the
Rocky.
windshield.
yeah, it was like 10,500
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were going through,
Yeah.
so.
Did you sing any John Denver songs?
No, but we
should've.
we sang a lot of funny shit. So,
Rocky
and I
Mountain
think
High.
we have like video. I took massive video photos of everything.
Yeah.
So that we could put together. I still haven't even had a chance to put together.
I
a
just
video.
added a bunch of stuff last night to that album.
I think that is such a cool story. I'm so glad you guys shared that story because road trips by far don't get like back when I was a kid, and even when you were a kid, Dan, everybody took road trips
Yeah,
because that's what we did.
People
Yes.
don't do it anymore,
Yeah.
And
right?
they don't do it anymore,
they just
especially
fly.
women only. Like I rarely hear about women doing that. You know, you guys kind of did like a Thelma and Louise kind of
Yes,
thing, basically,
yes,
right?
we did.
Which
yeah.
I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
so
That's cool.
I definitely want to encourage people listening and watching our show right now to go take a road trip.
Yeah.
I encourage
Yeah.
that. I encourage
Yeah.
everybody, leave your state. If you have never left your state before, you should leave your state. Go on a road trip.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
your best friend.
Get out
Explore.
and see America.
Yeah, and
my
one
gosh.
of the things that this road trip did to me was I am in the process of planning a rally now, a women's rally, because
Wow.
women do love road trips. Like it's a thing. Like I've gone on tons of road trips with girlfriends.
Who doesn't
so-
love adventure?
Right.
Yeah.
So I've decided I want to do like like the Gumball or the Gold Rush, but very small, just women, but not just women. Like the guys can come too. But
Wait, can they come? Can they drive too, or do they have to be passengers?
They have to be passengers.
Son of a bitch.
only Mimbos, Gabe.
You gotta
Only
ride,
Mimbos.
bitch.
No man.
Only Mimbos.
My wife won't drive.
But not necessarily. I'm still
Well,
still working
where
out.
are you thinking of going from where to where?
I'm for the first one. I think we're gonna do Northern California. I think we're
Okay.
gonna do just a single one overnighter. I'm throwing out ideas like having a banquet that night with everybody, doing scavenger hunts along the way.
like Eureka to
like-
LA or something like that, or
Yeah, something. I'm still trying to figure out because I'd like it to have an end result at a car event or a place.
Yeah.
okay.
It's going to be car themed because it's a rally. It's an actual automotive rally. So I'm trying to make it more women themed because there's not a lot of women themed rallies. So I think it's going to be fun. So that's something I'm in the process of working on. So
That sounds cool.
yeah, it's going to be good.
If you go through the Bay Area, I highly recommend do a stop off at the Jelly Belly factory.
Oh yeah, Fairfield. Yeah,
Yeah.
been there. A few
Jelly
times.
Belly, really?
That'd be a fun stop.
You a jelly bean kind of guy, Dan?
I took my son there when he was 10. He wanted to go
It's
see
good to
it.
experience
and
it, like,
it's really
once.
cool.
Don't dodge the question, Dan. Are you a jelly bean kind of guy?
I'm not really a sugar guy, but
I've never seen you.
yeah.
eat candy.
you should.
I've
take
never
your
seen
daughter.
you eat candy.
You should take your daughter.
Honestly, it's the
I
experience.
can't afford that. My kid loves.
I
jelly beans.
traumatized my kids with jelly beans. They won't
Oh.
eat jelly beans anymore.
You overloaded them.
You know what it was? It was the Harry Potter jelly beans.
Yeah.
I traumatized them. They won't touch jelly beans anymore.
Why?
How
What
could you do
happened
such a
with-
So we did one of those things where we got the pack. It's a mystery pack. You don't know what jelly
Oh,
beans you're
yeah,
getting.
yeah.
We sat down at the table and we split them all up, and we each had to eat them. And then I recorded some of this. I have it somewhere. But, there's like boogers and
Did you hit the vomit one?
there's a vomit
There's a
one.
vomit one. Why
Yeah.
Why would you do this?
Because
No.
it was
It's a
funny.
thing.
Child abuse.
It's-
Why
yeah.
would you do that?
It's kind of like Garbage Pail Kids. It's just sort
Yeah,
of.
it's
But I'm not
because
eating a
well,
garbage pail, kid. I'm
Ugh.
just
But
collecting the damn
it's
card.
a Harry Potter thing. My kids
Yeah.
were big on Harry
Yeah.
Potter,
Oh.
and it was like a Harry Potter thing.
Okay.
So,
for sure.
I don't know.
I get the
Maybe-
ick
maybe
just
jelly
thinking
beans.
about it.
I know.
Ugh.
But no, road trip was fun. We got some footage of some cool cars on the way. Denise actually found a guy at the gas station. She went over to his car and she interviewed him. So we have that on
Wow.
video.
It's like the original owner of like an 88 or an 89 Supra.
Oh,
Wow.
sick.
Yeah.
Super clean.
Veteran,
Wow.
he had his veteran's hat sitting on the passenger
That's cool.
seat headrest,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he
Original
was such
owner
a sweet
car,
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Wow.
It
That's
was so
awesome.
awesome.
It was
so I
cool.
definitely have that, and we can post that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
after.
for sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were keeping our eye out for all the cool sightings, of cool cars along the way.
So is your takeaway Colorado does have cool car culture?
They
100%.
do, and it's on my list of places that I would live
Because I remember
the
on
car
an
culture
earlier
is pretty
show
good.
you talked about that. You
Yeah.
were like, I don't know what other states have good car
Yes,
culture. I've been to
yeah.
I guess you
Texas.
found one.
I did.
I think it's
Yeah.
the real difference with California versus other states is yes, there is car culture. I think everywhere, and it takes a matter of a good event to bring those people out. Even when we were on our way back from Colorado Springs, we passed a Cars and Coffee
Yeah.
on the drive back.
Yeah.
But because I didn't want to deal with 95 degrees at 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, no, we need to keep going.
we need to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
going.
We need to
Yeah.
keep going, but.
But we talked about that next
yeah.
time we do a road trip, we're going to
we
find
should
cars
find,
and coffee.
Yeah.
find different car events and
Yeah.
attend them on the road trip out that weekend.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But it's the fact that the car culture in California is so dense.
Yeah.
There's at least CNC events on Instagram.
Every county, for
he
sure.
posts at least 20 to 30 events happening in Southern California every freaking weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say nothing is going to be like that in any other state.
We're so jaded. I mean, almost to the point
Yes,
we're spoiled.
we
We're
are spoiled.
Right?
We're
Yes.
the most overpopulated state, so just by statistics.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I didn't see a whole lot of cool car stuff in Utah.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, but Colorado, yes, definitely. And Colorado was cool too because you got your really good mix of there were a lot of JDM drift cars, but there
were
also trucks and
Jeeps.
Hot
yeah,
rods? Did
yeah.
you see hot rods out there?
Yeah,
Hot
in
rods,
fact,
yeah.
the girl
Yeah.
right next to our booth who
Yeah.
won, I have pictures of her with her award. She was badass. What was it? It was a 60.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think it was
that thing
a
was badass. So
64 Pontiac. I don't.
we got
remember what it
pictures. We
was.
got tons of
Yeah,
pictures.
cool. Yeah, cool cars. It was awesome. I loved
Classic
it.
Fords, classic, manufacturers that they don't even make and things you haven't seen in 20 or 30 years or something. It was.
We had an
really
old
eclectic.
hot rod on one side of my booth, and then we had a R32. No, 33. Was it a 33?
33.
R30,
GTR.
yeah, right next to us on the other side.
Yeah.
Both of them won an award in their class.
Ford
Let's go.
Capri was there too.
I like those.
Oh yeah, I love those. I was a sucker for hearing that thing run.
cool. Yeah, it was real cool. And then we got to see some cars drag race, which were interesting because there were cars
Even
you wouldn't-
stock cars
Yeah.
that you never think. It's just the fact that girls are out there doing that, and that I think that's the other thing too. I hear guys all the time. I hear guys all the time, oh, I need to set up my car for XYZ before I go to the track. Just take your car.
Yeah.
Take your
That's-
car.
yeah.
Learn.
Supposed to be run what you brung, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of that at some level too, but you're right. That's at the end of the day, just bring it out there.
The
Yeah.
prep is making sure your fluids are good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
have any leaks on anything? Do I
Yeah.
have enough brake
Yeah.
pad?
Yeah.
Those little
Right.
things.
Right air pressure in your
Right.
tires.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
it. Are my wheels torqued all the way?
And even that could be overlooked sometimes.
Oh, and also, I have to say this one thing before we finish, that I was super impressed about the way they ran the car show.
It was amazing.
One of the things they did, I've never seen anybody do here in California, is they had each class for the car show. Was best 60s or pre-60s.
Voting
best,
ballots and everything, they had written
And
out.
what
Oh,
they,
it's up to the people to vote?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
people were
at
voting.
the event
Interesting.
voted. But the cool thing that I liked that they did is they put a voter box for each class at every vendor so that everybody had to stop by your vendor booth.
Oh,
Which I
good
thought
for the
was
vendor. Good
super
for the
smart.
vendors. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that idea. I thought that was a great way because we got so many people come over,
Yep.
and we ended up striking conversations with people who we probably wouldn't have because the box was at our table.
That's really
So-
smart.
One thing, we could never do that in California because that is an amazing idea, but we could never do that in California because someone's going to say the election was rigged.
It's rigged.
Oh.
Someone rigged the election.
Well, and again, this was a women's event, so there's not a lot of drama at women's events.
that's true.
I feel like it would be a guy
Definitely
would say
guys
that.
would.
Yeah.
Well, because it's
Yeah.
happened. Even Bernie from Seven Stock said that when they did People's Choice, when they left it up to the people were rigging it by getting all their family members to put in the votes and vote for their car.
Well,
and-
okay, here's the thing. Anybody who paid to get into the event got a form, and there was slits for each. So they only got one entrance per person who paid to get in.
Yeah,
That's
one
pretty
ballot.
well thought out. That's
Yeah.
actually, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah.
each one they had to tear it off and write the car on there that they want and
That's
put it
cool.
in the box.
I like that.
I
And
just thought it was great.
It was really awesome, especially because you had these families with little kids that were going around and having the kids point out which
Yeah,
car was
yeah.
their favorite and things like that. It was
Yeah.
a really
It was
engaging
cute.
activity for families too.
yeah.
Democracy
Yeah.
in action.
And then one of my, I did do a little interview of a little car girl that was there. It was my first interview of the day. And I have video of that. So maybe we can plug that in there. But
Yeah.
she was 2.
Yeah, she was too.
She was 2. She was in her little pink hot rod. And she came over to the booth and I was like, hey, I love your car. She's like, thank you. Yeah, I'm with my daddy. And she was full on talking. And I was
Wow.
like, are you going to take your car on the racetrack? And she was like, no, I'm not going to take it on the racetrack today. It was the cutest thing ever. And it was just some parents that had their little girl in her little pink race car. 2 years old, barely could talk, but
Very
it was
cute.
so cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was such a great show.
I know we got to figure out another one.
I know.
I try to go on a road trip just about every year.
Yeah.
I've gone to Ford Nationals in Pennsylvania a few times. Tail of the Dragon I've done.
You drove to Pennsylvania?
I've driven to Pennsylvania. Yeah,
Wow.
for
That's
that was
a
my
haul.
dirty 30. That when I hauled the Focus with the Explorer all the way
Wow.
across the country and
That
back.
is a haul.
That was one of the best trips I ever did.
Tail of the Dragon is something I want to do. Have you ever done that?
No, we were talking about doing it this year because they had the big deals cap. The Rotary guys are out there,
Yeah.
so I would definitely. But I want to bring a car that that
you can ride.
Yeah,
that's
'cause
how I am too.
But
What is that one, Christina? What's Tail of the Dragon?
It's 318 curves in like 11 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, where's it
Really-
at?
What is this?
It's Tennessee and
Is
North
it-
Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
North Carolina?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the
it-
Carolinas. It goes through.
It's beautiful.
It goes
You
through
see
to
some of the footage.
Tennessee.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
in the
cool.
Appalachians? Is it kind of...
No, that's further west or east,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it goes through from North Carolina into Tennessee to the other side.
Yeah. People will park and just get video of
There's
people running
gorgeous
through
views.
there.
Wow.
It's
Gorgeous
pretty
views.
cool. So.
That's one of those sections where you have the photographers that are just mounted there all day, just
Yeah.
taking pictures of people that are driving through,
Yeah.
even if you're regular traffic.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of signs that say you are not allowed to drive an 18-wheeler or anything with a trailer on that road for
Right.
very good reason, because you'll
Right,
get
right.
stuck.
Yeah.
But you'll be amazed at I think Fail of the Dragon is the page on Facebook where you see
Fail of the
people
Dragon.
that have just big rigs, people
Right.
who cross the mustard and cause wrecks and everything, people who are just dumbasses.
Yeah.
They all get called out on that page.
Yeah, there's if you go to Sedona, there's Oak Creek Canyon, same thing.
Yeah.
Because I had my RV in Arizona,
Yeah.
31-foot fifth wheel, and I was like, oh, I'll just go down here, and you got there, and you're like, oh crap, I can't go down this road.
Yeah, it's wild. But I'd love to do a road trip like that too, where a group of friends goes out to different driving roads across the different states.
Yeah. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots
With
of stuff.
working AC.
Yes.
Working
That's
AC.
very true. Yes.
So since you got back, did your mechanic friend tell you what the deal is with your AC?
I still haven't taken it. I got to take it in. I just haven't had the time to do it.
Oh,
yet.
and speaking of,
yeah.
we did test the relays, by the way, and
Yeah.
we do believe it's a compressor
Yeah.
because when we
Yeah.
swap the relays, the horn and the AC relays are the same for that engine.
Yeah.
And they're right next to each other on the fuse box. So we swapped them, and the horn still works perfectly fine. So
I think,
both
I
of
think
the relays are
compressor's
good.
the most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I say you sell it and get a Stagia, but that's for another show.
I would agree with that. And this is part of the reason why I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I'm just kind of waiting, So, yeah.
Stagia is for everybody.
I know everybody's been asking because
get a
we've been
Stagia.
posting.
Is there a flurry of available Stagia wagons?
No, I just found out today that there's only 1,700 made
Wow.
Oh, really? Only 1,700?
total
Wow.
for all the years.
Because I looked at that one that Doug DeMuro had the video on.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is a badass car. I want that car.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want
it's
one.
so cool.
I want
It's
one
just
so
so
bad.
unique and cool.
I want one too.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I'm going to get something. I think I'm going to get something without a rotary in it.
I just realized we did see
Yeah.
a cool car in Utah, that 300Z.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
we drove by and we didn't get a chance to go back and look at it, but somebody was selling a 300Z
Yeah.
in that small town we were staying in Utah. I
Yeah,
really wish
it was,
we had the
it was,
chance to.
I know.
In Hurricane or someplace.
Somewhere around
I
there,
don't
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
what it was called. But anyways, yeah, it was we saw a lot of cool cars on the way. And we drove past a house that had half of a car in the roof.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Yeah, it was
on
sticking
purpose.
out.
Like
Wow.
they sawed out a car and put it up on their roof. It
Cadillac
was
Ranch in Utah.
So weird.
Yep.
Anyways.
All right.
Yeah, so today was fun.
That's an hour and 25 minutes.
I know, we covered a lot
We
today.
blab. Boy, did we blab.
Yeah, tits, man.
Tits and emissions.
No one really listens this far into the show, so we could just kind of go off and
Say
No,
whatever
I'm
you
just kidding.
want.
I'm just kidding. Anyways.
We are listening to you.
Yeah.
We swear we know that you're there.
That's right.
We should definitely
All two of
name
you.
the title of this episode "Tits and Tires."
Tits
for sure.
and tires.
Maybe we'll get some clicks.
Tits, tires, and
Well,
AC.
but what will the thumbnail be?
Oh my God. The bounce.
No,
We need-
I know the thumbnail. A bucket of water with a hand with a t-shirt. That's the thumbnail. That'll give you.
I was thinking boobs so we can get more clicks, but all right.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Well,
wet
wet
t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, but the t-shirts weren't white, if that helps. Okay.
You're painting a picture there.
That's
Christina.
right. That's right. Well, thanks for hanging in there, everybody, and watching all of us on West of Tulsa. Thank you, Denise, for coming in today.
Sure.
It was fun.
Glad to be back.
And you were a great road trip partner.
I try to be. It's good to have a good co-pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you leave Utah at 5 o'clock in the morning to try to beat 104 degrees through
Yes.
Barstow and Vegas.
Absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
86 degrees when we drove through at 6:30 in the morning in Vegas.
Wow.
So
And again, if you have any information for us about stuff that we covered today that maybe wasn't quite right, feel free to let us know so we can talk about it
if you liked or
next
hated
time.
it too.
That's
Drop some
right.
road trip ideas too. If you got some great driving roads out there.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good one.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We should do a poll.
Yeah.
Best road
Best
car
road-
driving
yes.
road
Yes,
trip.
the Breast
All right,
Road.
Dan.
Yes.
Breast road trip
driving
done.
road trip.
That's great.
All right.
Kill two birds with one stone.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you soon.
Like, subscribe, comment, follow.
That's right.